Welcome to sickmaths.co.uk, where you can find lots of free maths videos. This video is about solving quadratic equations using the formula. What is a quadratic equation, first of all? Well, a quadratic equation is just something with x squared or the variable squared, like y squared or whatever letter you happen to choose in it. So it has to have the squared bit in it, i.e. the highest power used in the equation should be 2. So even though you've got a normal x there, as long as I've got us to the power 2 for my x, so I've got x squared in it, it makes it a quadratic equation. But if I've got x cubed in it, it's no longer a quadratic equation. The highest power has to be 2. So that's what a quadratic equation is. Now, in these quadratic equations, I have to make them equal to 0, not any other number. Quadratic equations can equal different numbers, but to use this formula, I have to make it equal to 0. Now we know what a quadratic equation is. How do we use the formula? Okay, actually, what does the formula do? The formula actually just tells you the answer to this equation. It tells me what x is equal to, like it says here, x equals blah blah blah. Work out that, and I've worked out what x is. Now, all quadratic equations have two answers, so this formula also gives you two answers, because this plus or minus bit means I'm going to use the whole formula in two different ways. I get an answer by saying minus b plus the square root of this over 2a, or I should say and, to get my second answer, I use minus b minus the square root of that divided by that. Okay, so that's how I get two answers for x, but you'll see a more detailed explanation when I use the actual numbers over here. Right, so let's start using the actual numbers actually. So we've got 2x squared plus 11x plus 15. Okay, and a is just a number in front of x squared, so a is just 2, and b is just a number in front of x, so b is just 11, and c is just a number at the end, so c is 15. Okay, now I know what a, b, and c are, I can stick them into my formula. So, where I've got minus b, I should be saying minus 11, because b is 11, so minus b is minus 11. And then I write plus or minus, like I wrote plus or minus there, and then I write a huge big square root sign, and inside I have to write b squared minus 4ac. So what's b squared? Well, b is 11, so I have to write 11 squared, and then I have to say minus, and then I have to say 4 times a times c. Well, a is 2, and c is 15, so I've got minus 4 times 2 times 15. And then I have to divide by 2a. Well, as I said, a is 2, right? So 2a is going to be 2 times 2. And if I simplify all of that, well, 11 squared is 121, and 4 times 2 times 15 is 120. So 121 take away 120 is equal to 1, so I get square root of 1. Now what's the square root of 1? The square root of 1 is plus or minus 1, which is why I've written that there, plus or minus 1. Okay, whenever you square root a number, you always get equal and opposite answers. So if I had to square root 9, I'd get plus or minus 3. So I square rooted 1, well, the square root of 1 is obviously 1, and minus 1, because 1 times 1 is 1. Anyway, now, so I get this, because 2 times 2 is 4, and that minus 11 goes there as well as the plus or minus 1, which goes here. So, what do I have? I've got two options from this. I've got minus 11 minus 1, which is minus 12 over 4, which I've written here, or I've got minus 11 plus 1, which is minus 10 over 4, which I've written here. Let's simplify this one. Minus 12 divided by 4 is just minus 3. So that is one answer for what x could be. And minus 10 over 4, I can only simplify that, so I write minus 5 over 2. Actually, I could write it as a decimal as well. I could write minus 2.5 That's one way. So those are my two answers for what x is, or those are my two answers to the solution to this equation, and that's how to use the formula.